So you're 83.
83, yeah.
And you said you have what type of cancer? Lymphoma.
Lymphoma, yep.
Okay. What kind of cancer is that?
Lymphoma is it's kind of the lymph nodes, but it kind of gets into your
blood.
Yeah, your blood. It's so they treat you like. I go to the blood disorder center out there at the Universal Medical Center because that's it may be localized different places, but basically, it will be in your blood, so they have to kind of treat your blood with chemo.
So you've undergone 6 rounds of chemotherapy.
Yeah.
And you still come out here.
So that's been, it's been about what, 6 months?
Well, it was 6 21-day cycles, so yeah.
Yeah, just about. So
5 months or so.
Yeah,
and you've endured a lot of pain in that process.
Well, actually, the pain I had was when they started giving me the chemo, it stopped the. I had a severe lower back pain.
Severe back pain.
Yeah, lower back pain. It was really bothering me. Couldn't hardly sit down and sleep.
Well, because it's a lot the issues in your back too. You had was the tumor.
Well, yeah, it was like a tumor that was pinching a nerve that was causing this lower back pain. But when they started with the chemo, that actually eliminated the pain. The pain went away after that. So, but I am appreciative of that the chemo did that.
No, were you still coming out here? Still coming out here when you were having that bad pain?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Tara, I don't think there's been a time where you haven't been out here.
Well, there were some days I wasn't out here,
but yeah.
But even in that great pain, you're still coming out here.
Well, that's what. But I sit in my van and
He's trying to minimize it, but the answer to that is yes.
It's better than lying around home and feeling sorry for yourself,
Well, you still came out here, even if you're
here and feel sorry for myself. So.
Right.
Wow.
Nah.
And then Susan,
Terry
I make Susan feel sorry for me. And
yeah.
So you come out here.
Terry never complains.
So you come out here with cancer, when most healthy Christians don't bother.
Yeah, although I have to say that it, I find it gives me a purpose in life, and you meet, the people you meet, you really meet Christians that have the spirit and that are dedicated. I mean, that's the major thing. When that's actually a major reason I got involved with the pro-life movement back in '89 was, I'd been in the civil rights movement and I'd been in the anti-war movement. And there was a fellowship, it was a comradeship out there, and I miss that, that it's just people who don't make that kind of commitment tend to be they tend to be shallow people, they're not really, they don't have a high moral purpose to their lives, and it really, that was one of the major things I've found is that it's about the only place you find a real Christian community or fellowship. You go to these churches and they're kind of, they're lukewarm, and they, it's you don't really find a church where they're committed to, to the Christian life. But you come out here and you meet people that are. Sometimes they're a little eccentric, but but they have a real commitment, and there's a real fellowship. And so, when people ask me what church I go to, I say, well, I really have a picket line fellowship is about the closest thing I have to a church.
Anti-Planned Parenthood.
I've met people out here through the years who they came out. They're in a wheelchair. There was a guy that came out here to this death camp in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that was a pastor or not, but came out in a wheelchair. I've met people who came out. One guy was blind, legally blind, and please take one, ma'am. Please don't murder your child, ma'am. Let us help. There are Christians out here who will help you, ma'am. You shall not murder. The law of God written on your heart. I've met Christians and Catholics who came out for years. Some who there's a couple I'm thinking about who didn't have transportation, but they rode the bus, or they got a brother in the Lord. He in Milwaukee, he actually took an Uber. He suffers from seizures. He took an Uber to come out to the death camp because there's nobody else who would do it or could do it. So since he can't drive because of his seizure problem, he took an Uber to get there.
Amazing.
And and you know, when most who have transportation don't bother, and who are able, and I have an older brother in the Lord, and also in Milwaukee. He was undergoing, I think, his 4th treatment of chemotherapy. He had cancer, and he was coming out too. He was still coming out. And one day he was so sick he could barely be there, but he was still there.
Wow.
He was joining his pastor, and he's been coming out for years. And I mean, I've known people who came out, you know, even though they were feeling terrible and sick and have cancer, and people in their 80s or 90s. Joe Scheidler, he's 93. He still comes out in Chicago, and so I just think about the dedication of even those who aren't believers, Catholics. I mean, some of them may be saved, but the Lord knows. But I just when I see people, Christian or Catholic, who's out here, they're in a wheelchair, they're in a walker, they're sick, they got cancer, you know, they're legally blind. I'm just thinking, wow, you're out here. When those who are able, who are healthy, who have a card, don't bother.
Have you seen Joe Scheidler recently?
Yeah, I saw him in Chicago within the last couple months.
Oh.
Yeah, he actually looks good for his age.
Huh.
You know, he's doesn't
93
even
now, huh?
93. Yeah.
Wow.
Still going. I don't know how often he goes out, but he still goes out, and he didn't seem to need a walker or a wheelchair. Looks like he's doing good for his age. And but I just but you've underwent 6 rounds of chemotherapy, and you're 83 and you're still out here.
Yeah.
That's